Mercedes thought Ferrari's biggest weakness was the engine. But just before Austria, Ferrari may have turned that weakness into the one thing Mercedes did not want to see: a reliable platform with no major warning signs, aggressive aerodynamics, stronger energy deployment, and a power upgrade path still waiting to be unleashed. That is why the tension inside Mercedes is not about Ferrari being perfect. It is worse than that. Ferrari is not perfect yet, and they are already close enough to make Mercedes calculate every risk. The shocking part is not that Ferrari still trails Mercedes in pure power by around 25 horsepower. The shocking part is that Ferrari reached this point without the kind of reliability problems that usually kill an ambitious project before it becomes dangerous. And if that car arrives in Austria with the same stability, the same traction, and even part of the missing power finally corrected, Mercedes may no longer be defending against a rival. They may be defending against the beginning of a new Ferrari era. Subscribe to the channel. To understand why this has created so much tension, you have to look at the part of the story Mercedes cannot ignore. Ferrari is not arriving at Austria as the obvious favorite. That matters. Because if Ferrari had already been dominating, the situation would be simple. Mercedes would know exactly what kind of threat it was facing. The paddock would already have its answer. The pressure would be public, direct, and impossible to hide. But this is not that kind of threat. Ferrari is arriving in a much more uncomfortable position. Close enough to be dangerous, flawed enough to be underestimated, and reliable enough to keep improving. That combination is what makes Mercedes nervous. Because the Ferrari problem is not fully visible yet. On paper, Mercedes still has the advantage that every top team wants. The engine. The reference point. The thing Ferrari openly knows it still needs to chase. The source material makes it clear that Ferrari's power unit remains the weakness, and that the gap to Mercedes could still be around 25 horsepower. But that number does not tell the whole story. In Formula 1, a power deficit is only fatal when the rest of the car cannot protect it. If the car is slow out of corners, the engine gap becomes bigger. If the car burns through its tires, the engine gap becomes bigger. If the electrical deployment fades too early on the straight, the engine gap becomes bigger. If reliability problems force the team to run safely, the engine gap becomes bigger. That is what Mercedes would have wanted. A Ferrari with weakness stacked on weakness. A Ferrari that needed more power but also had cooling issues. A Ferrari that needed more speed but could not trust its energy system. A Ferrari that wanted to attack but had to protect the car just to finish. That kind of Ferrari gives Mercedes breathing room. But the picture before Austria is different. Ferrari's weakness is real, but it appears surrounded by strengths. And that changes everything. The car has shown strong traction, which means it can launch itself out of corners with confidence. That matters because many overtakes are not created halfway down a straight. They are created before the straight even begins, at the exact moment the driver gets back on the throttle. If Ferrari can exit corners cleanly, Mercedes cannot simply count on engine power to stretch away. The car has also shown strong hybrid management, which means Ferrari is not just using energy, it is trying to spend it intelligently. Think of it like a phone battery on a long day. The strongest battery is not always the one that starts at 100%. It is the one that still has charge when you actually need it. That is what Ferrari is trying to do with its electrical power. Not waste it too early. Not lose it too late. Use it where it hurts the rival most. And then there is the aerodynamic side. Ferrari's package is aggressive. It is designed to reduce drag on the straights and create grip where the car needs stability. That is the part that makes the Mercedes advantage more complicated. Because if Ferrari can cut through the air more cleanly, it can hide part of the engine deficit. If Ferrari can generate grip without creating too much resistance, it can protect its tires. If Ferrari can make the car stable when the aerodynamic systems change, the drivers can attack without feeling like the rear of the car is waiting to betray them. That is why reliability becomes the center of the story. A risky aerodynamic concept is only useful if the team can run it, study it, and trust it. A clever hybrid strategy is only useful if the system does not overheat or fade when the pressure rises. A future engine upgrade is only powerful if the base car is strong enough to receive it. And Ferrari, at least from the signs available, has reached this phase without the kind of major reliability problems that would normally force a team to slow down. That is the warning Mercedes cannot ignore. Ferrari is not spending Austria trying to survive. Ferrari is arriving with the possibility of escalation. There is a huge difference. A team trying to survive makes cautious choices. It protects the engine. It avoids extreme settings. It treats every session like a risk. But a team ready to escalate starts asking much more dangerous questions. Can we run a sharper map? Can we unlock more deployment? Can we push the cooling window? Can we bring the upgrade earlier? Can we make Mercedes defend sooner than they wanted? That is where the tension begins to move from the stopwatch into the garage. Because Mercedes is not just watching Ferrari's current performance. Mercedes is watching Ferrari's direction. And direction is everything in a long championship. A car can be slightly behind in one race and become the threat by the next development step. A team can look manageable in the morning and dangerous by Sunday afternoon. In Formula One, the most important thing is not always where a rival stands today. Sometimes it is where the rival is clearly heading. Ferrari is heading toward Austria with a story that Mercedes did not want to face this early. A stable base, an aggressive concept, a power weakness that may soon receive help, and two drivers who can punish any hesitation. If Ferrari's additional development opportunity begins to close the power gap, Mercedes suddenly loses the comfort of a simple explanation. Right now, if Ferrari is close, Mercedes can tell itself the engine still protects them. But after the upgrade path begins, what happens if Ferrari remains reliable? What happens if the car keeps its traction advantage? What happens if the aerodynamic efficiency keeps covering drag? What happens if Hamilton and Leclerc can attack without saving the car? That is the nightmare scenario. Not Ferrari finding one miracle. Ferrari removing one weakness from an already dangerous package. Because that is how a car becomes a title threat. Not by being perfect all at once. By losing fewer weaknesses than the rival expected. Think about it like a boxer. A fighter can survive a rival with one powerful punch if that rival has bad footwork, weak defense, and no stamina. You know where the danger is. You can avoid it. You can build a plan. But if that same rival improves the footwork, protects the defense, and still keeps the punch, the entire fight changes. Ferrari's punch is not fully powered yet. But the footwork is improving. The defense looks stronger. And the stamina, the reliability, may be better than Mercedes wanted to believe. That is why the tone around Ferrari is shifting. Earlier, the story could be framed as potential. A strong base, a bold concept, a team with ambition, a famous driver pairing. The usual Ferrari hope before reality arrives. But now the conversation is moving toward consequence. If the car is reliable, Ferrari can test more aggressive settings. If the hybrid system is stable, Ferrari can defend harder at the end of straights. If the aerodynamic platform is consistent, the drivers can take more risk in qualifying. If the engine upgrade arrives without creating new problems, Mercedes has to fight a Ferrari that is stronger in the one area where it was supposed to be safe. And this is where the internal pressure at Mercedes becomes more complicated. Because Mercedes cannot only chase Ferrari. They still have to protect themselves from McLaren. They still have to manage their own development. They still have to avoid turning a strength into a weakness by overreacting. That is the trap. When a rival improves quickly, the first temptation is to speed everything up. Bring parts earlier. Run the engine harder. Change the development plan. Take more risks. Search for margin before the rival steals it. But in Formula One, rushing can be expensive. A rushed upgrade can confuse the car. A more aggressive engine map can stress reliability. A new aerodynamic direction can take months to understand. A strategy choice made from fear can ruin a weekend that should have been controlled. Ferrari's reliability does not only threaten Mercedes on track. It threatens Mercedes mentally. It asks a question that every leading team hates. Do we respond now or do we trust our advantage? And there is no safe answer. Respond too soon and you may create your own problems. Respond too late and the rival may already be beside you. This is exactly why Austria has become such a pressure point. It is the moment where Mercedes needs Ferrari's story to slow down. They need the power deficit to remain meaningful. They need the aggressive aero package to show limits. They need the reliability picture to look less clean under real pressure. They need Ferrari to face the kind of messy weekend that breaks momentum. But Ferrari needs the opposite. Ferrari does not even need to dominate. They need confirmation. A clean weekend. Strong exits. Stable deployment. Competitive race pace. No major mechanical drama. A sign that the next development step is not built on fragile ground. Because if Ferrari gets confirmation in Austria, the whole paddock will understand what Mercedes may already fear. The red car is not waiting for the future anymore. It is bringing the future forward. And that changes the emotional weight of every lap. Every time Hamilton exits a corner close enough to stay with a Mercedes, the question grows. Every time Leclerc delivers a sharp sector, the pressure grows. Every time the Ferrari garage completes a session without major alarm, the belief grows. And every time Mercedes fails to pull away as easily as expected, the old certainty cracks a little more. That is how tension builds in Formula One. Not always through explosions. Sometimes through patterns. A lap that repeats. A gap that does not open. A rival that refuses to fade. A weakness that stops looking fatal. And ahead of Austria, Ferrari has created exactly that kind of pattern. The most dangerous part for Mercedes is not that Ferrari is already ahead. The most dangerous part is that Ferrari may finally have a car stable enough to chase them properly.